Imagine a world where the Roman Empire never fell, where its legions crossed the vast Atlantic 1,000 years ago and set foot on the shores of a mysterious new world. How would history change if the mighty Eagle of Rome flew over the Americas, centuries before Columbus was even born? 1,000 years ago, the Roman quest for new lands. It is the year 1025 A.D. The Roman Empire, though transformed from the days of Julius Caesar, still stands as one of the most sophisticated and ambitious civilizations on Earth. Its engineers build cities that defy time, its armies still march in perfect formation, and its leaders dream of expanding their glory to the ends of the known world. For years, sailors from the western provinces have whispered rumors of lands far across the Atlantic Ocean, a place where rivers run wide and gold lies hidden in the earth. To most, these are the ramblings of madmen. But to the emperor, they are an irresistible challenge. He commissions an expedition unlike any before. Fleets of reinforced triremes and cargo ships, provisioned for months at sea, commanded by the most daring captains of the empire. The journey is perilous. Storms batter the ships, food runs scarce, and morale begins to crack. Yet after weeks upon weeks of endless ocean, the lookout spots it, a dark green line on the horizon. Land. They have found a new world. First contact, Romans and the native civilizations. The year is roughly 1025 A.D. After decades of exploratory voyages along the African coast and across the mysterious Western Ocean, a Roman fleet, larger than any seen since the days of Augustus, finally sights land. The coastline is lush, wild, and unlike anything described in their maps or scrolls. Word spreads quickly among the sailors. They have found a Novus Mundus, a new world. Landing parties dressed in segmented lorica armor step onto the shores of what we now know as the Yucatan Peninsula. Their sandals sink into warm sand as they gaze inland toward the dense emerald jungle. The air is heavy with the scent of flowers and distant smoke. Before long, they make contact with local Maya communities, who watch these strangers with a mix of curiosity and caution. The Romans, true to their nature, immediately begin assessing the land for its potential. Fertile soil, strange crops like maize and cacao, and rivers rich with fish. They also notice the glitter of gold ornaments worn by some of the locals, and their ambitions flare. While trade is attempted at first, misunderstandings quickly arise. Roman discipline and their need to assert authority clash with the fiercely independent nature of the indigenous city-states. Tensions escalate when Roman scouts begin mapping territories without permission, a prelude to their usual imperial expansion. The meeting of these two worlds is electric. The Romans bring steel weapons, advanced engineering, and organized military formations, while the Maya possess complex astronomy, advanced mathematics, and an intimate knowledge of the land. For a time, there is an uneasy balance, but history shows us that Rome rarely settled for equals. It would not take long for the legions to push inland, building roads and fortifications as they went, claiming territory in the name of the empire. War and conquest, the march of the legions. When Rome decides to conquer, it does so with precision and overwhelming force. Within a generation of their first landing, outposts along the coast have transformed into walled Roman colonies, complete with amphitheaters, aqueducts, and marketplaces. Legions march deep into the continent, following rivers and building forts every few days of travel. The resistance from native powers is fierce. The Aztec and Inca empires, far from being passive, organized vast armies to repel these foreign invaders. Roman legions meet warriors armed with obsidian blades and spears in brutal, exhausting battles fought in tropical heat and treacherous mountain terrain. Neither side is prepared for the sheer endurance of the other. In the north, some tribes adopt Roman tactics, forming alliances to counter the legions with surprising effectiveness. In the south, the Incas' mastery of mountain logistics allows them to hold off Roman advances longer than expected. But Rome has one advantage that slowly tips the balance: their ability to integrate conquered peoples into the empire. They offer citizenship to local leaders, merge native gods with Roman deities, and incorporate indigenous soldiers into their auxiliary forces. Over time, the lines blur. A legionary's shield might bear both the Roman eagle and the symbols of a native clan. Yet conquest is never purely military. The Romans introduce new crops to American soil, expand infrastructure with roads linking the Andes to the Caribbean, and establish massive trade networks that stretch all the way back to the Mediterranean. In turn, Europe is transformed by the arrival of maize, tomatoes, potatoes, and chocolate centuries earlier than in our timeline. The flow of gold and silver into Roman coffers fuels an economic boom that further cements their dominance. However, beneath the surface, resentment simmers. Native cultures, while outwardly Romanized, quietly preserve their traditions, languages, and resistance. Even as Rome celebrates its triumph over a fourth continent, the seeds of rebellion are already planted. Seeds that may one day grow into something the empire cannot control. The other European powers enter the game. But history is never the story of one empire alone. By the late Middle Ages, other European powers rise to challenge Roman dominance. The Portuguese, with their mastery of Atlantic navigation, land on the eastern coast of what we call Brazil. They establish thriving colonies, competing directly with Rome for resources and influence. In the far north, the French explore along the St. Lawrence River. Founding their own settlements in lands rich with furs and timber. The English push into the northeastern territories, where their colonies grow into prosperous trading hubs. Skirmishes erupt between Roman settlers and these newcomers, and alliances form between European powers and various native groups. The Americas become a contested prize, a patchwork of cultures, armies, and political intrigue, each vying for a piece of the new world. An empire across the ocean, society and culture. Roman America is unlike anything seen in our timeline. The streets of its cities echo with a mix of Latin and native languages, forming entirely new dialects. Roman law dictates governance, yet native traditions shape art, music, and religion. Christianity spreads early, but it blends with indigenous beliefs into unique forms of worship. In the great capital of Nova Roma, built upon the ruins of a Maya city, towering aqueducts bring fresh water to marble plazas. In the Andes, Roman engineers carve roads across the mountains, connecting remote provinces to imperial trade routes. Markets overflow with goods. Maize, potatoes, and cacao traded for olive oil, wine, and Roman steel. A traveler could sail from the Forum in Rome to the streets of Portus Aureus in South America and find the same public baths, the same mosaics, the same imperial banners fluttering in the wind. Yet alongside them, the colors and symbols of native traditions proudly displayed. The question of independence. Centuries pass. By the 18th century, the Roman Empire still stretches across oceans, but cracks are beginning to show. Communication with distant provinces is slow. Corruption festers in colonial governments, and the people of Roman America begin to ask, why should they serve an emperor who rules from across the sea? Rebellion brews. In some territories, uprisings are crushed swiftly by disciplined legions. In others, the rebels manage to secure autonomy inspired by ideals of liberty, though still shaped by centuries of Roman governance. The result is a fractured continent. Some regions remain loyal to Rome, others declare themselves independent republics, and still others fall under the influence of rival European powers. The modern world in a Roman America. Today, the map of the Americas looks nothing like the one we know. Vast regions speak a modernized form of Latin. Roman architecture still dominates the skylines of ancient cities. The United States, as we know it, never forms. Instead, a coalition of former Roman provinces and territories dominates much of North America. Global trade revolves around the Atlantic-Mediterranean axis. The cultural mix of Europe and the Americas began centuries earlier, creating societies that are both familiar and alien to our eyes. And perhaps, in the heart of the Amazon, there might stand the ruins of a massive Colosseum, its stone walls slowly being reclaimed by the jungle, a silent reminder of an empire that once ruled both sides of the world. The legacy of a different world. The Roman discovery of America 1,000 years ago would have reshaped human history beyond recognition. Languages, borders, religions, economies, all transformed. The New World and the Old World would have become one far sooner, for better or worse. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere in this alternate history, the eagles of Rome still soar proudly above their provinces, and the dream of an eternal empire never truly fades. Of course, everything you've just heard is nothing more than an exercise in imagination, a what-if scenario that never happened. The Romans never crossed the Atlantic, and the events we've explored exist only in the realm of speculation. But by reimagining history this way, we can better appreciate the incredible chain of events that actually shaped our world, and wonder how different life might be if even one detail of the past had changed. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps the channel grow. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did you find most interesting today? And of course, if you want to keep learning English through fascinating stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. See you in the next adventure.